Thank you for joining us on yet another excursion through the stream of consciousness, down the river of tranquility, to fill the lake of life with love.
Good evening, fellow lovers of love out there, and thank you for joining us for this another day in what I guess I'm going to call it the Jumble July, because life is just a jumble. It's just all over. Poor Lubby's a state fair widow, and I have no schedule, but there's no rhyme or reason to my current schedule. I'm all over the place, everywhere, all the time.
I just provide support.
It's only.
That's all I can do.
It's only about 3 weeks in July, right? You know, we can manage. We'll get through it.
It's for a good cause.
Yeah. Well, if you guys happen, anybody of you, the rare chance that any of you happen to be out here at the California State Fair, stop by. It's the one time we'll mention this kind of thing. You can stop by at the Libertarian Party booth in the State Fair. It's in Building D for the moment. We're thinking about trying to get it moved to Building D or Building C. Anyway, you can see I'm all jumbled, so it's Jumbled July. But anyway, if you want to know if I'm there before you go, send us a message and I'll let you know. So what else we've got? So that's been it. I'm kind of tired and sleepy because my sleep schedule's all out of whack and everything. So Lubby's done another Lubby's dive through Reddit, and that should be interesting to pick up at the second half of the show, because Lubby's finding questions at Reddit is always a fun time. But before we get to that, we're going to come back and cover a topic that we cover every now and again here. Going to your first therapy appointment. What do you do when you're searching for therapy? Once you've made the decision, I'm going to go seek kind of professional help. What do you expect? Since we've been through the process a few times ourselves, and we have some resources here linked in the website. You can go to latenightLove.us to follow along, or to find some, and to follow along with Lubby's thought processes and some linked resources. You can find them there. So what we got on the first start? What's the first thing you do? How do you process of finding a therapist, right? I guess once you made the decision, okay, I'm going to find a therapist. How do you do that? What's the process do you go through?
Well, there is a link to an article, and it's how to find a therapist. 9 key tips. We're going to discuss 8 because the 9th one is discussed a little more thoroughly in another article.
I thought it was 7. The other 2 were discussed. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So first, you can consult your insurance through your insurance plan.
Yeah, because at least that narrows the search, right? So at least if your insurance kind of covers some or part of it.
Yes.
So there's that. Okay.
Okay, you can ask someone you trust or a referral from a friend, colleague, or your doctor that you trust.
Yes, that's how I found mine. Mine was a referral from family. That's how I got mine. I think you did more of the referrals from doctors recently, right?
Mine has been referrals from doctors. It's Kaiser, so I don't have a whole lot of choice.
Yeah, and I had it a little bit. I had a referral from. Mine is also cost cash, so there is that. So cash gets you a little more freedom.
Yes, it does.
So, and many of these work on a sliding scale. I know my therapist works on a sliding scale. She's being an independent contractor, not having to answer to insurance companies. She gets that option. Okay, so what else we got?
Okay, you can use a reliable online database. A number of mental health organizations maintain up-to-date, searchable databases of licensed therapists, such as American Psychological Association, American Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, and the Association of LGBTQ and Psychiatrists.
And so, looking for one that maybe fits your area, the things you're looking for. So, if you're struggling with, say you're struggling with coming out, and so you want to maybe find a therapist who specializes in that. later on the show, we've got something about sex therapy. So if that's what therapy you're looking for, you want to find someone who specializes in that. So, if you're just looking for general help, maybe a counselor. You may not need a traditional therapist if you're just looking for someone to help you sort out your head, kind of. So you kind of understanding where you are in this process is also key. And don't forget apps. Okay, what else you got?
Explore local resources, community, such as if you're a student, your school might provide access to a counseling center. If you're employed, your human resources team might have a list of therapists. Through workplace wellness or employment assistance program, that's another good one. If you need counseling related to domestic or sexual abuse, you might be able to find a group or individual therapy through a local advocacy organization.
Yes, and those definitely would find ones on sliding scales. So if finances is an issue, those are the places to start looking. That's a good suggestion. Okay, so what's next?
And you also might consider if you go to church, a synagogue, mosque, or other worship center.
Yes, your support system. You lean on your support system. If you're part of a sports team, right? You lean on your teammates. You ask them. The people who support you the most. It makes sense. Okay. So now,
reach out to organizations that address your area of concern. If you're looking for a therapist with a specific mental health condition, you might find local therapists through National Association Network or Helpline, such as National Eating Disorders Association, Anxiety and Depression Association of America, and National Center for PTSD.
Yeah, so finding a therapist, if you have a specific issue you're dealing with rather than a general therapy thing, then you want to make sure you find one that specializes in that area so you get best served. Okay, I somehow managed to leech myself over off to the side of it. Okay, so what else we got?
Okay, you also want to think about your goals ahead of time. What do you want to accomplish in therapy?
And that's a hard one because sometimes you don't really know. How do you know? How do you know what your goals are when you're just trying to, sift through the chaos or whatever it is?
Then that's what you tell them, sift through the chaos.
So, but that's what I mean. It doesn't feel like a goal, does it? But it is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So it's a hard one to deal with. Okay. So you have to it's hard to wrap your head around that sometimes. That sorting through the chaos in my head is actually a goal. It is the goal. Doesn't have to be a bigger goal than that. Just that's the goal, and that goal will change as you go through. As you learn to sort through the chaos, you will find that there is a bigger goal underneath that. You just couldn't see it through the chaos. So don't be afraid of changing your goal. Okay, what else you got?
Try online therapy app.
Just
Talkspace or BetterHelp offer tools to help you explore the kind of therapy you want.
Especially if you're younger, the younger generation who's kind of grown up with that kind of contact, they're used to it. It's second nature. So if you're under 30, those apps and online things are probably much more natural than they would be for you or me, right?
And apparently it's more affordable. Weekly sessions range from $35 to $85.
Yeah, that's much more affordable because you think about it, they don't have to pay for they get to do it out of their home office rather than having to have a location and pay for all that extra stuff. So it makes some sense.
Okay, now we're going to switch to another article.
All right.
Because this is questions to ask a potential therapist.
Yes, because we all think of them as professionals, like they have all the answers, but this is a relationship you're building. Therapy only works well when you have a functional relationship with your therapist, and so a good therapist is also interviewing you to make sure he's the right fit for you as well. A very good therapist will say, "I'm not the right fit for you. Here's some names that might be better suited." And it's okay. You want the right fit, right? So this process of making sure, having the right questions, knowing what questions to ask, knowing what you're looking for, knowing where you want to go, it's important if you want to get to your total end goal, which is whether it's sorting through the chaos or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what has it got?
Okay. 23 questions to ask.
23.
23.
All right, people, take out your notepads, or you can just go to latenightLove.us and click the link to this article, and it'll be there.
Some of these are pretty basic.
Yeah. Okay. But we're going to go through them real quick. All right, Lubby.
Okay. Do you take my insurance?
That's a good one.
What licenses do you have to be a therapist, and how long have you been practicing?
And ask what type of therapist, because counselors, therapists, there's different types. So make sure you're clear on what you're actually seeking. Not everybody needs the, psychologist, right? Sometimes a counselor will do. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
What experience do you have working with the types of problems I'm experiencing?
Good.
What is your approach in doing therapy in a situation such as this one? There are many schools of thought in the therapy community, and the therapist may not be ready to say what they think will be best for you.
Yes, you have to match the therapy style with your personality. Not just your problems, also with your personality, right? So you have to match that. Okay.
Okay, number 5. What has your success rate been with problems like this?
That's a difficult one, because how do you define success?
True.
Success is defined by the individual. It's a difficult one. I'm not sure I would ask that one. Okay.
6. In working with a patient or client, do you tend to be more directive or more like a consultant to the patient or client?
Okay. Well, that's part actually.
So there's different kinds. There's more directive therapy, and then there's more consultant.
That kind of fits with that other question we just covered, though, quite frankly. Their school of thought. Okay. But, okay.
Okay, what types of things would you expect me to do between sessions, if anything?
Well,
So, homework.
You're paying them. They're not your teacher. Now, let's be clear. Now, they ask you, hey, you should try this and see what happens, right? But you don't answer to them. You're not graded at the end of this thing. You've got to get out of that mindset. You're in control. What they're giving you is tools, and you can choose to use them or not. But if you don't use them, you're going to have to, maybe they're wrong for you. My therapist used to give me homework and I didn't do it, and so she stopped. We worked through it differently because I didn't do that type of work. I did it in my head rather than writing it down. And so when she realized that, she, okay, I don't need to give him homework because he does it in his head. But for some clients, they need that structure. And so, but you're gonna have to find that out for yourself as well. So this is a journey for both of you.
Okay. These get a little interesting.
Okay.
Describe to me your ideal client, the one who pays.
Yeah, that one I don't understand.
That's a difficult one. I don't think I would ask this one. What do clients do that really annoy you?
No, I wouldn't ask that one either.
What happens if I can't make an appointment?
Okay, that's a good
What
one.
happens if I'm late for a session?
Okay.
If I start having lots of problems between sessions, what are my options?
Yes, they usually tell you, but yes.
Are your appointment times flexible, or will I get my own slot?
Well, that depends.
When you're away, what happens to my therapy?
That's a good question.
Do you regularly make clients wait for their sessions, or do they start on time? That's a little...
Well, because therapies are different. I understand why people think they need to ask that question because doctors are, you habitually don't start on time, but therapy's different. You generally start within a few minutes. I mean, sometimes a session before will run a few minutes long, 5 minutes long. I have been guilty of that. But as a rule of thumb, you're within a few minutes.
As a rule of thumb, yeah, I always have That's been my experience.
Yeah.
A couple of times there have been some crises, but you know, hey man, people were having a bad day, worse than I was.
Yeah, and you know, and think about this. You'll one of these days you'll have your five extra minutes that you'll need, and it will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen. So be patient with that, you know, because you'll be on the other side of that one day. So, but yes, generally they're right around the time. I mean, it's usually not a problem because their sessions are usually 50 minutes. It's not actually an hour; it's 50 minutes. So they've got 10 minutes between. You know, they start at 3. You got 15 minutes, and 3:50 you're out of there, and they've got 10 minutes to take a quick break, get ready for the next thing, and off they go. So that's generally what happens. And unlike regular doctor's offices, they don't overbook. So you're pretty good, unless they're running late. You know, like they get a flat tire or something, or like we said. So, yeah, therapy's a little different than normal doctors.
Yeah, in that regard.
Yeah, in that regard.
Okay.
Anything else?
Do you have an understanding of my perspective as a okay, this could be based on gender, culture, race, ethnicity, etc.
What does that even mean? That's a meaningless question. You're just gonna get word salad for an answer, so it's meaningless. Don't bother with it. You either connect with them or you don't. Don't worry about the other stuff.
Do you do phone sessions if I need something at a different time?
It's a good question.
If I wanted to bring someone else to a session, would that be a problem? I would talk about that first.
Well, you ask them if it's a directly related thing, then it's usually okay.
Yeah.
Yes, but you ask them. You talk about it first. It's not something you just do. You talk about it first. Yeah. Something you lead up to. Okay.
What would I have to do to be ready for the first session?
Show up and be prepared to be vulnerable. That's it. It's really all it is. Be prepared to answer the question, why are you here? And then it starts all on its own. But you have to be willing to be honest. Because in these things, what you're being honest with is not the therapist. You're being honest with yourself. The therapist is there to help you do it. He's not going to help you unless you're honest. They don't care. They're getting paid whether you're honest or not. They're getting paid whether you sit there and do nothing or not. They're getting paid whether you get better or not. So take advantage of it. You're in control of your own therapy. They're there to help you. They're there to guide you. They're there to provide you tools. You've got to do the work. There's no magic pill. There's no magic equation. It's a never-ending journey. But life is better on that journey than not. So that's so if you're ever going to trust me on something, trust me that life on a journey of self-exploration and understanding and becoming a better human being is better than life not doing that. All right, what else we got?
Does so-and-so have to find out what I'm working on? Employer, parent, or other family member?
No, I suppose it's a good question to ask, especially if it's based with employers. But unless you're a police officer or something, then no, it's a private thing. Now there are some disclosure laws, like if you disclose, abuse, especially of children, you have, they are required to report it. But other than that, it's patient-doctor privilege. Okay.
Okay, well, you just answered that. What is not private and confidential about what we do? You answered that.
Okay.
I've never been in therapy before. Will it feel weird?
Yes.
Yes, bearing your soul to a stranger.
It feels weird for a while.
For a while, and then
Then it becomes habit.
I think, what is that thing? How long does it take for transference? 8 sessions or something like
Yeah,
that?
it's somewhere. It's it's more than 3 and less than 20. You
So
know,
stick with it.
it's more than 3 and less than 20. So yeah, you're gonna feel weird for a little bit, but that weirdness is called getting out of your comfort zone. It's called healing. It's the first step to healing. So it's okay. It's just part of the process. Doesn't mean you have to like that part of the process, but it's just part of the process. Hey, you're not going to like a lot of this process, but you are going to like what happens in the long
You're
run.
gonna love the results.
Yeah. So, okay.
Okay, last question. Do you think you can help me?
I suppose that's a good question. See if they're going to give you an honest answer, or if they give you some words out. Yeah. I actually wouldn't have thought to ask that question. So, it's not actually bad. I would probably phrase it a little differently, but just because it's me, there's nothing wrong with that phrasing. It's just I would phrase things differently. But just like all of us would phrase it a little differently. But it's a good question to ask. I wouldn't have thought of it. Simple question, but I wouldn't have thought of it. All right, so what's next on your list over there, Lubby?
We have things to expect and not in your first therapy session.
Ooh, see, that was a good one about feeling weird. Okay, what's the other article we have, by the way? Because we've got about 10 minutes. So we got 2 articles left to cover.
Well, I thought the last one is is short. What happens during sex therapy?
Okay, so let's go back. All right, let's go cover that because we can roll that one into the second half, into the questions if we need to. Okay, or just run along.
Things to expect and not in your first therapy session.
Okay.
Takes a lot of strength to make that first therapy session. Now you have it. You might be wondering what it will involve.
Yeah, that you will be wondering what it will involve. It's not a might. That you will be wondering. Why do you say they might be wondering? You will be wondering what.
Okay, so they make their opening statement here in this is that it is that you've already made the resolve. You admitted you need some help, or you got some conditions, symptoms, or challenges.
Yes.
To work through.
The decision is made. You probably even picked out the therapist, right?
Yes.
Yep. And so now it's your first session. The night before your first session, you're in. I don't want to call it quiet chaos. Your anxiety is peaking because you're not sure what to happen. You're not sure what's going to happen. Right? I think any of us who's gone to therapy has been through that first session thing.
Okay. Well, what to expect from your therapist. The first thing is, despite some misconceptions, the therapist's job isn't to solve your problems for you.
It's not possible. They do it if they could, but they can't. You have to solve it.
And they're not there to tell you what to do or tell the people who've hurt you how wrong they were.
It's not their job. So, that is. It's not their job. Their job is to help you learn how to do that.
Most therapists spend time encouraging you to look inward. And it means talking about past trauma and developing some strategies.
Yeah, well, and oftentimes the issues with past trauma is that we never deal with it. And then once we deal with it, I don't want to say goes away, but it no longer becomes oppressive. It just becomes part of the tapestry of your life. But it can't do that until you've dealt with it. Right? It's this thing that you have to weave into the tapestry of your life. And if you refuse to weave it into the tapestry of your life, you've literally got a hole. And as much as you don't want to weave it into the life, you have to, because it's part of your life. Doesn't mean you have to look at it all. You know, once it's weaved in, it's done and gone. In a sense, right? But it's still part of you. But what you don't want it to be is hanging over your head. And, you know, you want it to be part of the tapestry of your life. You don't want it to be always here. You want it to be back there, where it belongs. Okay, what else is over there?
Okay, they also make the point you may dive into your interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, you're gonna have to learn to be better at them.
Understanding your role in making relationships better or setting boundaries in order to protect yourself.
Also, I don't know if it's going to cover it later, because I didn't scan these. But you're also going to have to find out your roles in making relationships worse, so you can improve. You know, the common, what was it? There's a comedian. He says, no, it's not a comedian. It's Simon Sinek. He's a leadership guy, and he says, you know, there's one common factor in all my failed relationships. Me. Everybody else, you can point out all the flaws of everybody else, but there is one other common factor in those failed relationships, and that's you, me. You know, that's so. If you don't examine that piece of the puzzle, and you're expecting everybody else to do all the work, that's not right. It's not going to make you a better you. It's not going to make your relationships much. So, okay.
What to expect from yourself. Okay, the first session probably will involve your therapist asking you a lot of questions about you, how you cope, your symptoms, and you may chat about goals for therapy, expectations.
Some therapists may have you take one of those, the INTJ, I forget what the hell the name of the test is, the most personality test is, the quick version of it, or something. May ask you to. You don't have to. You know, sometimes it's an interesting thing. You know, you kind of see what your personality traits are. You know, maybe you're an introvert or an extrovert and that kind of thing. So some do, some don't. And the usefulness in those isn't actually in the results that you get. The usefulness in those is the fact that it gets you thinking about yourself. So let's understand that. You know, those are meaningless results, but the value in that is that you start thinking about yourself. You start looking inward. That's the value in those personality tests. It's not the tests, results themselves. It's that you start thinking about yourself. That's the value. And many people misunderstand that they think that these results, well, now I know I'm an INTJ or something. Well, that's completely irrelevant. But now you've started thinking about who you are, who you really want to be, and the path you've gone down, or going down, moving forward. So that is it's a tool. It's not a judgment. Okay.
I took it in college. I forget.
Yeah, I forget. I'm an introvert, something or another.
Okay, then
I'm an introvert who's very empathetic, whatever the hell that ends up running to be. I don't know. My mother remembers what I am. And one of those is borderline, so I'll, depending upon my mood at the time I take the test, I'll flip it later. So, okay.
Okay, they made the point that the first therapy session can be emotionally draining.
Most therapy sessions will be emotionally draining.
Because it unearths many things your brain has worked hard to bury.
Yeah. No, your brain has worked hard for you to deal with them. You have worked hard to bury.
And as you sit down for first-time therapy, you may find the floodgates opening.
The minute you feel safe, that will happen. Yep. Whether it's the first session, the second session, the fifth session, the minute you feel safe, that will happen. It just will.
So it is to be expected, but it is a little surprising. You know.
It's emotionally draining, but the payoff down the road is well worth it. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to scare anybody. I'm just trying to make it.
No, well,
it's nothing. It's not bad.
Well, sometimes sometimes it is not pleasant, and I don't want to pretend it is that anything different. That's not right. You need to be prepared that some of these sessions are going to be hard.
Oh, yeah.
Man, you're going to come out there crying. You're going to have a rough few days sometimes after some of these things, as you're learning to deal with this stuff. But the payoff is well worth it, and you have to trust the process, and you have to stick with it. Otherwise, you're just going to end up back where you are. Okay. What else we got there? Is that it?
Well, we have types of therapy.
Yeah, I think we're going to go switch to the other one now. Let's go finish it. Let's go do your, simply talking about types of therapy, let's go flock over to your what to expect during sex therapy. We'll end on some high note here, I guess.
Well, I always wondered what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, we can go to sex therapy just because.
All right. Well, apparently it's...
Why are you here? We just want to see what happened in sex therapy. We're curious.
Well, apparently there is experimentation with homework.
Huh?
They assign homework.
Oh, sex homework? Oh, God. How about making sex boring? Jesus Christ. Let's go to sex therapy and turn sex into a school project. Good Lord.
Okay, it's not just sex problems, but relationship problems.
Yeah. Yeah, sex it can be a tool to work on other problems because human beings are motivated to have sex. So, nature's motivation, so to speak.
Okay, so homework might include experimentation. If you're in a sexual rut, may try different activities such as role playing or using sex toys to increase their desire.
So if I put on a Captain Jack Sparrow outfit,
Oh, baby. I'll do the Princess Leia.
I was never into Princess Leia. I was never into princesses. So you look at me thinking of a princess. No. Give me the farm girl down the street, which is I already have. So I don't know what you.
Okay, well, other couples need to adjust their sexual routine or positions, especially if one partner has a health conditions that require such changes.
That's the issue that has to be dealt with if it comes up, and we have had to deal with that ourselves. So yeah, actually, maybe we could use some sex therapy thing at this stage. To be honest, it probably wouldn't kill us. Okay.
Wouldn't kill us. Wouldn't kill any couple, really.
No.
Sensate focus. This technique for couples is designed to build trust and intimacy while reducing anxiety. Couples progress through 3 stages, starting with non-sexual touching, progressing to genital touching, and usually ending with penetration. Education.
Just makes sex sound boring.
Education. Sometimes clients did not receive adequate sex education while they were growing up. As a result, they may not be aware of anatomy and how the body functions during sexual activity.
That's probably a bigger issue than we realize. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of us probably won't understand it, but the world's a wonderfully large place, diverse place. Some people aren't interested until later in life, so they never look, or never have an opportunity, so they never explore. And you get your first time, and that's what you do, and you know nothing different. It can, while we don't understand it, it happens far more often than we think. Okay.
Okay, the last one is communication strategies. Clients may need practice asking for what they want or needed sexually or emotionally in a relationship.
Yes, fear of rejection is actually a big thing, especially when it comes to sex and asking for something that's other people would say is a little taboo, shall we say? If your needs are on the more taboo side, not wanting to express it because you don't want to be rejected is a common problem. Very, very common. So, that fear of rejection is real.
Yes, it is. So that's what happens in sex therapy.
So there you go. It's like regular therapy, but talking about sex.
With homework.
Which I'm not sure if it's good or bad. Well, it's Tuesday night. Time to break out the costumes. Just doesn't seem. But I suppose if you know it was a barren wasteland before, maybe that's better than not. So I don't want to be judged either. We all have to go through life and get through these things as best we can.
I give kudos to people that are trying.
Yeah.
They're not out there. They're not ditching it and looking for grass is greener. They're really sticking with it.
Hey, the world is about effort, isn't it? Relationships are about effort, not necessarily results. As long as you're trying.
Yes.
That's the real key. I mean, I think all of us, most of us, we don't really. It's not that we don't care about the results, but if people are trying, no, there's no breaks. You can go an hour without having to stop. Come on now.
Come on.
No, I don't have anything to talk about. I can't kill 3 minutes.
All right.
Come on, man.
Okay, we're set for questions. That's the end of the.
Yeah, that's our end of our first half. Now are we on to Lubby's dive into Reddit. I was flipping. Rubbies dive into Let it. See, I can't even. I don't really know what I was trying to say. All right, so what do we got?
We're going to start with some relationship questions.
Alrighty then.
My wife, 29, and I, 28, just had our first baby 2 months ago, and we made the decision we want our baby to be fluent in 3 languages for the baby's future. My wife and I are both bilingual and fluent in 2 languages. My wife can speak Korean and English, and I can speak Japanese and English. My wife thinks when I talk to the baby, I should speak in Japanese, and when she talks to the baby, she should speak in Korean. She believes that since we live in America, our son will be fluent in English no matter what from school, so we should begin speaking the other 2 languages at home. I said it would confuse the baby, so we should use English until he's about 4 and then start teaching the other 2 languages. This leads to problems and fighting because of the completely different approaches. Who is right?
Well, I don't know if either one of you are right because it's really going to depend on the child. As someone whose German teacher said, you do not have a tongue for languages. Not everybody's set out to learn 3 languages. Not everybody has that talent. Now, you guys have both learned 2, and so maybe the likelihood that he can learn that is maybe increased, but not necessarily. What you may be setting him up for is being conversational in 2 languages and illiterate in 1. Because how can he become literate in English in school if he starts school not knowing anything about it? Most kids enter school knowing their letters, knowing how to say the numbers, and knowing basic words. And if you don't send them to school knowing those, if you want to teach them different languages, that's fine, but you're going to have to teach them all 3. And kids are smart. I wouldn't necessarily worry about the confusion, but you're going to have to if you want them to learn all 3, you're going to have to teach them all 3. If you want them to be naturally fluent in all 3, you've got to have to teach them all 3. Whether that's the best approach or not for me to say. But if you want them to be, you can't skip one and then expect it to happen magically from somebody else later. You know? So that's what I would say. If you want, if this is the path, if 3 is the path, then teach them 3. If not, you teach him 1 and you teach him the other 3 concurrently at the same time. And he'll understand that there's 3 ways to say red. There's 3 ways to say ball. There's 3 different ways to say eat. He'll figure it out. And he'll pick which one he wants to use. That's what they'll do. And you might end up with this kid creating his own freaking language. At least for a while. So, some words will be Korean, some words will be Japanese, some words will be English, just because it's what he likes to say. And you're going to, could be fun for a little while. And if he's smart, he'll sort it out quickly. But if he doesn't have a talent for languages, he's going to struggle. So, that's the warning. Okay.
Okay. My husband, 21, and I, 20, got married 2 weeks ago. Today when I came home, he said he needed to tell me something. I don't know what I was expecting. He told me that he might have a child with a girl he used to date. Apparently she doesn't want him in her or her child's life. The child is still very young. They haven't had contact since she sent him ultrasound pictures. He told me he tried to make it work with her, but it didn't. There's no paternity test, and right now she doesn't want one. But he didn't just find out about this. He's known since she got pregnant, and he never told me about it. At first I was in shock, but now I'm so angry. I'm so angry he never told me when he's had multiple opportunities to do so. The only reason he told me today was because he found out she's been having dinner with his grandma. Why would she do that if she wants nothing to do with him? What do I do now?
Nothing. One, the anger is, he doesn't have to tell you these things. He tells you when he's ready to tell you. So you can be angry, I suppose, but, that and a glass of wine, and you have a glass of wine. There's nothing for you to do unless he asks you to do something. There's just nothing for you to do. I mean, you may want to decide if you want to have a part of this child's life, and I suppose there are legal options for you to deal with. Go through that. These things tend to have a tendency to evolve, especially if she's already having dinners with his grandmother. So,
Yes.
I don't know. Talk with his grandmother. Because there's nothing really for you to do. It's not yours. It's his life. Now you are a grandparent, and so there is something there that you can have to figure out how you're going to navigate that on your own, because I don't know what to tell you. But the related what you wrote in about and anger about, tough. The rest of it, I don't know. There's nothing for you to do because you're mad that your son waited to tell you. You're just gonna.
It's her husband.
Oh wait, her husband.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, my husband and I got married 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh. So this was from a previous thing. Oh, okay. So I misheard the thing. I was still thinking. That's even worse. I have no idea. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Because that's actually vastly different. Because if you could know, if you did know, you have a response. It's like having a debt. essentially, right? If you have a big, huge debt, you reveal that to somebody before you're married. Just do. You don't necessarily have to reveal it while you're dating, but you do reveal it before you get married, right? But there comes a point where you have to reveal these kinds of things. And so you have every right to be angry at that stage, but at some point. Because I'm assuming this child came before they were together, right? So
Yes.
yeah, so he hasn't actually cheated on you. He just didn't reveal something. So it's a violation of trust in a way, but it's not a catastrophic one. But
It's going to take some time.
yeah, and the hard part is now you all have to decide what to do because he has a child, and at some point, he's gonna want to have something to do with it. So,
The child will want to at least contact the father at 18 probably and say,
Maybe.
hey, how are you?
maybe not.
Where
But
were you?
it's gonna happen. They're living too close apparently, and there's already too many close connections. Those trains are gonna smash into each other. It's not gonna take all that long. So you just have to prepare yourself for that. But you're going to have to sit there and go through and figure out what the thought process is. In order for you to get over the anger, you're going to have to sit down and figure out what his thought process was, and not telling you. And I would guess it's fear of rejection, but you're going to have to get him to say that.
Ask him why I didn't tell you.
Yeah, but you're going to have to get past the defensive things, and it's fear of rejection. We all know what that is. I'm afraid if I tell her, she's not going to marry me. That's what it was. I can tell you right now. 99% certainty. Tell you right now. That's what it was. But men don't like admitting that. Just don't. So getting him to admit that is going to be hard. But once you do, on the other side, on the plus side of that, is once that does happen, your relationship will change forever. Because then you'll no longer fear that you'll reject him. So you'll get through it. You'll have gone through, and his fear will have been appeased, assuming you get through it. The relationship will change. It'll be for the better. And then you've got other issues to do. Assuming he gets to that point, he can do it. So, okay. Because he may not be able to, and if he can't, then your relationship is going to fail at some point later on down the road. So you may want to, think about that. Okay.
I need someone to dump cold water on me and tell me that I, 40-year-old male, should not date this girl, 25.
Why? I mean, it's a little creepy, but not overly so. I wouldn't do it, but it's not. Is there a reason not to? I mean, is it just purely the age difference? If it doesn't bother her, now it's right on the edge of creepy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right on the edge of creepy, but yeah, it's not so far so. So no, I'm not gonna dump cold water on you, unless But the thing is, if you want cold water dumped on you, you don't need it. You already know. You're right.
This apparently goes against
There's something. You find it creepy, and you can either get past it or you can't. And what you want is somebody else to tell you it's creepy and you shouldn't do it. No, that's your judgment call you have to make. There's no getting out of it. You have to make the call. You're responsible for making this call. You're within legal ranges. It's just quasi creepy. Some people don't find it creepy. It's okay. So you're gonna have to make the decision. You just can't pass that off onto somebody else. You want cold water on their face? Stand in the mirror. Throw some cold water on you. And answer the question that you already have the answer to.
My girlfriend tested positive for chlamydia and is accusing me of cheating, but I didn't. How do I convince her?
Well, you can go take a test, except you probably have it from her. But there's also another way to catch chlamydia, if memory serves. I just don't remember what it is. So it's not necessarily from sex. It's just usually from sex. So you can go off and find, try to backtrack and find out if there's another possible transmission source. Because sex isn't the only one. It's just the normal one, just the usual one. Trust me, there's other ways to get these things. There's other ways to get sexually transmitted disease than sex. They're just called sexually transmitted disease because that's the most common way to get them. It's not because it's the only way to get them. So, yeah. But if you haven't cheated, then she hasn't cheated, then something else has happened. Right?
Yes.
And other things do happen. Do I know what happened? No, I don't. Do I know? Maybe you cheated. You're lying to yourself. Maybe you're both lying to each other. I don't know. But if you're not, if both of you are truthful, then you find out the other ways to catch it and you see which one lines up. Start there.
Okay, we have some more questions.
Okay.
Is there a diplomatic way to indicate on your resume you tolerate an a-hole as part of your job responsibilities?
Tolerated? No, but what you can say is have proven able to work with a wide variety of personalities or a diverse range of personalities. There you go. That's a polite way to say that. Proven ability to work with a diverse range of personalities. There you go. And I always suggest to go YouTube and look for Life After Layoff. I like the guy who does those. He's pretty good about answering questions about resumes and stuff. So you can go search for him on YouTube. That would be my suggestion. But yes, there are ways to say that. By the way, but you look at the base skill. You can work with a wide range of personalities. Includes an asshole and includes nice people. Yeah. See, there you go.
Okay, I took a job 6 months ago and it turned out the place was in a complete disarray and total chaos. I worked very hard at the cost of my health and my family. Suddenly my boss was fired and they brought in a new one. I've been explaining to them that my workload is that of 3 people and asking for help or direction of some kind. He keeps saying things like, if you're not happy, you should make a decision to leave. If I quit, my family will suffer financially. It will be devastating. If they fire me, at least I'll get unemployment and can look for another job. Have you ever been in this position? Anything I can say to get him to just fire me without jeopardizing my unemployment insurance?
No, you get lazy. If you want to be fired, you just get lazy. You do the very bare minimum of your job. They want to move you on anyway, and so you just get lazy. You do exactly what you're asked to do. You don't tank your job. You don't like not do it. But don't do anything extra. You do exactly what you're paid to do, and nothing more. And if they're looking to fire you, they'll fire you. But you've got this thing called Indeed and LinkedIn, and you go put your resumes up and you start looking for another job now. Don't wait. Now, there's talk about the labor shortage, right? There's all kinds of talk about labor shortage. Now's the time. Don't try to hang on to a job that doesn't want you there. Now's the time for you to look for ways to leave. They're not going to be loyal to you, so you don't worry about being loyal to them. You find a job that's willing to take you the next day, you walk out that job and you take that job the next day. Screw 2 weeks notice. It's not a legal requirement. It's a courtesy. treat them the way they treat you. That's how you deal with the situation. It's not your job to fix it. So your job is to take care of your family and yourself. And right now, that means finding a job that wants you. You'll be happier when they're out there. LinkedIn, Indeed, you'll find them. Okay.
Hello, fresh grad here. So I received a job offer in the field of automation, and they are going to train us in exchange of a 4-year bond or pay $500,000 in Philippine peso. Thoughts?
Why the hell would you do that? You're signing a contract that means you can't just quit and walk away. Now, I'm supposing this is from the Philippines, and so I don't know how Philippines economy works, but you know, as a general rule of thumb, you don't want to sign your right to move on to greener pastures. What if the job sucks? Now I get where the company's coming from. They're going to train you to a bunch of automation works, and so they want to make sure they can get something, you know. But you know, tough. I would look for something else if you could. I just never liked the idea of signing a 4-year contract, you know, or in order to get out of it, you have to pay a crap ton of money. I don't know how much, what, 4 million Philippine pesos is. I don't know, it could be $200, you know, so maybe it's not such a big deal. I don't know how much that is. Or it could be $20,000, which is, you know, $200,000 or something. I don't know. So that may actually make a difference, right? If you can pay a few $100 to get out of it, maybe it's worth the training. You know? So you're going to have to find that kind of thing out. But I would have, rule of thumb, stay away from that kind of thing.
Okay, we have some parenting questions.
Ooh, fun.
I, 37-year-old male, am an introvert. On the exterior, nobody would know it, but it drains me when I lead meetings, go to social functions, etc. Enter my sweet, loving daughters, 6 and 8. I love them dearly, and there's nothing in the world I wouldn't do for them. I feel guilty saying this, but when I spend time with them, I get overstimulated by how much they talk, ask questions, sing songs, argue with each other, etc. And it happens very quickly. I feel like I need a break after being around them for an hour. It makes me feel like a bad dad because I don't have the mental endurance to handle the unending flow of chatter, questions, and noises. I'm divorced, so I don't have the option of requesting that their mom take them out of the house. What are some ways I can cultivate a good parenting relationship without feeling so burned out when I have time with them? I love them, and I'm tired of feeling like a bad dad.
Well, one, what you're feeling is actually quite natural because, you know, it's input, and it doesn't matter where the input comes from, right? For those of you who are sensitive, those who are sensitive to input, it doesn't really matter where it's from. You know, the input is input, and especially if you have a lot of other stressful things in your life, that adds to it. And so the feeling is, don't feel bad for feeling that way. That's not the problem. You know, it's finding a way through it is your goal now, and you've focused on that. You understand that. You're going to have to go to counseling. We talked about it at the top of the thing. That's a counseling thing. And you go to counseling. Hey, this is what you've just said. This is what I'm dealing with. How can you help me? That's a counselor's job. That right there. You go to counselors and you tell the counselor that, and they'll help you work through it. Because there are techniques. There are things you can do. You can learn to quiet your head. You can learn to tame the chaos, or if nothing else, become stronger in the face of the storms, right? You can build a bigger lighthouse, a stronger lighthouse. And so those things that used to bother you a lot no longer will. So anyway, talk to a therapist. That was my suggestion. Counselor, therapist, because, you know, they'll help you find the tools you need to do that. You're not going to find it on Reddit because there's no script. You're going to have to write your own. Okay.
Okay, so I caught my kid smoking pot. He's 18 and on his way to college in town in 6 weeks where he will be living in the dorms. We had a good discussion, talked about self-medicating and how it is not the best way to deal with problems. Made sure he had a therapy appointment on the books. Talked about how it is still illegal in our state and he is not 21 even if it were legal. He is only working 20 hours a week this summer in spite of his mother and I pushing him to take on 40 hours, which means he has been spending his graduation money on this. So in spite of being so angry and feeling like a complete failure, we had a good discussion. But shouldn't there be some consequences?
What consequences? He's 18. He's spending his own money on things. There's no consequences. I mean, you could, I suppose, but what are you going to do? Take away his Xbox?
He's 18.
He's 18 and going off to college. The good discussion is all you can do at this point. And he will make the choices he's going to make. You know, that's it. That's really all you can do. Is you've done your job. Yeah. Maybe whether I agree with your perspective on it or not is irrelevant, but you've done the job. You know, he's 18. The thing is, if you push much harder, you're just going to go the other way. And so, you know, respect him, and he'll respect you. Okay, what else you got?
Okay, we got a couple sex questions.
Okay.
Okay, alright, this one's intense.
Okay.
I, 21-year-old female, generally want to understand, because lately my husband, 30-year-old male, has been into rougher things sexually. I have been trying to be open-minded and understanding through all of this, but I just really want to know, how is hurting the person you love fun? Calling me names, telling me he wants to break me, being happy that I'm all bruised because of him, laughing at me for crying, choking me and leaving visible marks that I have to keep hiding, refusing to do things I actually like, even just simply hugging and cuddling because that doesn't turn him on, refusing to talk to me after I say no or beg him to stop, and the list is long. I'm just sick and tired of feeling like I only deserve to be loved by him when I let him do whatever he wants with me. I'm tired of feeling like sexually we are not equal partners and only his happiness matters. What should I do?
This is one of those rare times I'm going to be blunt. You need to leave him. He no longer respects you as a person because rough sex play is fine as long as everybody's agreeable. You're not agreeable, and he's not respecting that, and he's not going to get better.
No, he's not.
Because, you know, and if that's something that's important to him and is, you know, and if that's the thing he needs to feel fulfilled, that's fine. He can find, there's plenty of people out who are into that kind of thing. You're not. But it actually seems to me that he has essentially checked out of the relationship. And so it's no longer a relationship, it's a, I don't even know what to call it.
You're in a dominant submissive dynamic.
No, it's not even dominant submissive. He doesn't care enough for it to be a dominant submissive dynamic. To be blunt, he's using you because he doesn't want to, you know, be the one to end it. So you do it. That's my suggestion. So it's all about, clearly, it's not about you anymore. And fighting for something that's no longer there is pointless. Use your energy to go. I'm really that blunt, so.
And I'm going to put my 2 cents in here. Counseling it now or later, please. You're going to need some help getting through this.
Yeah, because the thing is, something changed, right? The world you used to know suddenly became a world you didn't know. Because you used to have what you believed was a loving, kind relationship, and all of a sudden it's no longer that. So your world has changed. And so that's going to be difficult, but you have to accept it. you can, and you can only change you. You know, you can only change your part of that. So do it now before it gets to a point where it's harder. Okay, this next one I believe is for what? No, yes, for Lubby? No.
No, that was the one that was for me.
I was supposed to read you that one. Okay.
That's okay.
All right. What's the next one?
I'm a 20-year mother of 2. Recently, I found out my son, and I forgot to put it on here. He's 11. Is having sex with his girlfriend, who is a year older. I won't get into the details of how I found out, since there are creepos here. I'm completely at a loss for what to do. I had a conversation with the girl's mother. She grounded her and banned her from seeing my son. My son is upset and doesn't understand why he's in trouble. I could only tell him that he shouldn't be doing it at his age, and he asked why. I want to tell him about pregnancy because maybe that'll scare him, but honestly, I feel so confused and hurt. I'm a single parent. I have no help. What should I do?
Well, hey, this actually happens. Kids end up playing doctor kind of thing at that age. It's not uncommon. It's just not. You know, I would call it. I wouldn't say it's like widely normal, but it's not uncommon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't have to feel like a failure. It happens. One, you don't want to scare them, but 2, your answer is right. You're too young for that. And the reason is because you don't understand it, and it has long-term implications to how you view the world and other people. And so we put it off until you are at an age where you can properly understand it. Is what we do, and that's how you explain it to him. And because he's not going to understand any other explanation. So you have to simplify it as much as you can. And you don't want to scare him. I mean, you can talk about pregnancy, and it's probably a good thing to do at this point. But the real reason we don't have sex at 11 and 12 is because it psychologically harms them. It sets up strange dynamics of, view of sex and view of relationships for the rest of their lives. That's why we don't do it. That's why we tell people to put it off. That's the real reason. And so, that's what you have to simplify for them. And, punishing them it's difficult. I don't know. Punishment seems wrong to me, but at the same time, you have to make sure that they're understanding.
Yes, it's serious.
Yeah, that there's long-term implications to this that you don't understand, and so. But I do think you can do that without punishment. So I would try that. Just try and simplify the real reasons we don't do that as best you can. That's my suggestion. I know it's not a good one, but there's no good answers to these things. We all as parents just have to muddle through the best we can. That's all we can do. If this stuff was easy and we could write a script, we'd all have one, right? But we don't. We've been doing this parenting thing for hundreds of thousands of years, and we still don't know what the hell we're doing. So don't feel bad. It's just you just do the best you can with the circumstances and situations you find yourself in. Okay, so we got one last one.
I, a 29-year-old male, marrying my beautiful fiancée, 28-year-old female, next month. Her best friend, maid of honor, surprised her with a penis pump as a gag gift. Please help me understand this.
How do you not understand a gag gift?
He took it as an insult. He took it as a personal affront.
No, it's a gag gift. It's like when someone has a 50-year birthday and you give them a book of sex after 50 and it's got empty pages. It's a gag gift. It's for laughs. It's not there's no real meaning behind it other than to get laughs. That's it. It's like you're going to a comic show and taking the stuff the comic says too seriously. It's just jokes for laugh. It's just a joke. It's just for laugh. It's not personal. But quite frankly, penis pumps exist because people use them. That's got nothing to do with your penis size. Some people find that kind of thing erotic and fun. So, you don't? Okay, it's fine. You don't have to use it.
It goes up in the closet on the back of the shelf.
Yeah, what do you mean?
And you give it as a gag gift to somebody else.
Or you just throw it away, like happens with most gifts. Throw it away. It ends up in the landfill. It's a gag gift. It was done for nothing but a joke. It's nothing to make people laugh because it was funny.
My sister and I had this huge dildo we gave back and forth to each other for decades at Christmas.
See? Sometimes these things are just for jokes. Apparently, Lubby and her sister have a joking relationship. See what you mean? See what we mean? It's all good. All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Maybe next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't know, but it's not going to be Saturday, I would suspect. So we'll let you know because of what is it? The Jumble July. I even forgot what the hell it was called. Jumble July. I forgot already. Forgot what I was calling it. We're calling it Jumble July, and we'll muddle through. And come August, we'll call August. I don't know, Ascension August or something. I'll come up with a title. No, I won't. So I'll talk to you. From me and Lubby, thank you for joining us. Oh, for a reminder, you can, if you want to send us letters, if you want to ask questions, you can ask. You want to ask us questions, you can send them at love@latenightLove.us. You can always contact us and find us at latenightLove.us and Facebook and all your other social media outlets. Me and Lubby, good night, and please remember to love everybody.
Bye.